reportedly Morey shut down the Sixers' interest because he's already built, right, the biggest threat to the Warriors, this dynasty in Houston. He wants to see that through. It is an interesting question now, and it's a little bit of his victim of his own success last season, is they had such a good season, and it worked, the experiment with Chris Paul and James Harden, in a way a lot of people, frankly, doubted that it would. The team was so good defensively. They came so close to taking down Golden State. Now they've lost Trevor Ariza. They've lost Luke Mamute. Are they a better or worse team this coming season? Nick, what do you think?
I don't think they're better right now, Rach. I mean, this is a team, when you look at what they were able to accomplish last season, it was built in large part because they were getting up and down the floor. But defensively, you finally knew what to expect every time they stepped out there. You lose Ariza, you lose Mbamute, you gain Ennis. Maybe he can work. Maybe you can plug him in like you're the Spurs. But this team has to win now, because you just inked Chris Paul to a max deal. They have to win in this moment. And I might be in a minority at this point, but I still don't think, even with a 3-2 lead, that they were going to win one more game and get past Golden State. Because the flip side of that argument is, if Iguodala doesn't get hurt, maybe they win that game and they go up 3-1 in that series. So I think the Rockets have an immense amount of pressure this season to do it. And if they don't do it right now, I don't think it's going to happen in this window.
So last week we talked about Oklahoma City, how they needed to do things to lessen that tax bill. The reason why we talk about them in that light is because we don't expect them to be a championship team. This right here was a championship team. They didn't win it, but they're championship caliber. And so when you talk about losing Ariza and Mbamute, a huge part of them, combined with P.J. Tucker, three guys, very versatile, defend, switch, and most importantly, not liabilities on the other end. They can all hit the three. You lose two of those three guys that were so important to success over one-year deals. And I know Ariza got $15 million, and I know that's a lot of money.
I was going to say.
But if this isn't the time where you open the pocketbook, I don't know when it is, right?
I don't know enough about the math. Could they have even matched that Ariza deal with
Ariza could, because he was their.
I know he was their guy.
They had full bird rights. Now, it would have been incredibly costly, and you might ask yourself, would Ariza have taken less than 15 to stay. Right? But clearly, it wasn't approaching. And then Mbamute is a little harder because they used the mid-level, part of their mid-level exception, and Mbamute had just got there, so they didn't really have any bird rights on him. They had non-bird rights. But still, there's something you can do to keep this shindig together. Because when you talk about Michael Carter-Williams, a guy who's bounced around the league, not known as a three-point shooter, not really known as a great defensive player. When you talk about James Ennis III, very, very light NBA experience. I like him in essence as a 3-and-D guy, but this is a guy that doesn't have a ton of experience, not compared to the guys that walked out the door. And the other two guys they're just trying to find their way in the NBA. That's a huge hole, and I don't know if they can. Yeah, there we go, Melton and Vincent Edwards. I don't know if they can keep up pace with what they were last year. And I don't mean the best winningest team in the conference. I mean a true threat to Golden State.
Now, Nick, you could also, on that left side of the screen, maybe be adding Carmelo Anthony. I don't know how that makes you feel, better or worse.
It makes me feel worse. I mean, this is the issue with Carmelo. Everybody looks at Carmelo's name on paper and they go, ooh, Carmelo.
Brand name.
The reality is Carmelo is not that kind of player anymore. And especially on the defensive end. We're sitting here talking about the Rockets, knowing that they had brand name guys who you could plug in and you knew what you were getting. With Carmelo, what are you getting at this point?
Well, again, this comes back to, what does Carmelo want? And we don't know. We haven't heard from him yet, and it's possible he doesn't know. If he is ready, upon leaving the Thunder, to be a piece, to be sort of that aging veteran role we saw Dwayne Wade eventually settle into, to have sort of, to be the fullest of what Carmelo Anthony can be now, and not trying to be the Carmelo Anthony of yesteryear, I think he could be really effective there. We just have to know that that's what he wants. If he wants to try to be Carmelo of 5 years ago, there's a different team for that.
This is my thing about that. Even if he is ready, even if he plays the Paul Pierce, the Dirk Nowitzki, the Ray Allen, all of these guys who aged gracefully, right? None of them were defensive stalwarts. That part's not going to come through the door, right? He might fit in offensively perfectly, but you're still talking about the main issue is this was an elite defensive team, not just a good defensive team, an elite defensive team a year ago, and they lost 2 out of the 3 really important pieces on the wings for them defensively. And how do you fill that hole? You don't fill it with young guys. You don't fill it with guys who bounce around the league, and you don't fill it with guys who've never been known for defense.
Well, Daryl Morey, the executive of the year, and well sought after, apparently. This will be up to him to finish rounding out this summer.